Welcome in, everyone, to Vols Society Live on this Wednesday night. My name is David Morrison. I am the Vols Society analyst here on the Vols Society Network. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about, well, I'll just say this is a little bit of a format change than what we were kind of anticipating. Primarily, it has to do with the men's basketball team. I kind of figured throughout this season we would really break down week by week about the Tennessee men's basketball team. But plans change a little bit. But we're going to still talk about them. Plus, Kelly Harper and the Lady Vols basketball team is actually doing very, very, very well. We'll talk about what the Lady Vols are doing as they are currently number 4 in the country. Plus, there's a lot of football still to talk about because apparently there's no off-season anymore in college football. And so we have some updates in the transfer portal, particularly with Tennessee. And also, what does Monday night's national championship game may affect with Tennessee, and kind of looking at a mini preview 2022. So we're going to cover the Lady Vols tonight, what's going on with the men's basketball team, and we'll dive into the transfer portal. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/UT Vols Society. Of course, you're watching us live on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to leave the comments. We've already got my grandparents watching all along. So let's go ahead and dive into the show. Like I said, you're a part of the show too. Go ahead and leave those comments and we will answer as I ramble on. All right, so let's talk about Tennessee men's basketball team. That's been kind of the talk. We'll start with the game last Saturday in Baton Rouge because that's kind of had all the buzz going on, and then we'll talk about last night's game with South Carolina. So Tennessee took on LSU last Saturday down in Baton Rouge, a 79-67 loss to the Tigers, and our founder Brad is in. He said the Lady Vols are back. Kelly Harper's fantastic. Yes, definitely so. They got a big game coming up, or they got a couple big games coming up this week, and we'll dive into that in just a moment. But going back to Saturday, like I said, Tennessee lost to LSU 79-67. A lot of offensive woes for the Big Orange. Shot 38% from the field, 25% from three-point line. They shot 62% from the free throw line, which is actually better than what they did last night, and that's a bit of a concern. And the big controversy kind of after that game was the post-game comments from Rick Barnes and about, players stepping up, and he really went after John Fulkerson and really, called him out by his name and said basically, Folky needs to step up or needs to step aside, and that really kind of sparked a flame on social media, which everything else does. Uris Plavish, who's played very well the last few games, kind of came out and defended Folky and said it's because he's still recovering from COVID that he hasn't got his energy back. So, there's kind of some interesting things going on. And Brad says he has issues with Rick Barnes. The guys, these guys play scared, and I think it's because of Barnes. And I'll say this about my kind of whole thing with the Rick Barnes situation. As far as like everything I've read about him, like as a human being and just off the court, 100% great guy. And there's no doubt about it. Very open by his faith, and just seems like, a kind of a jokester outside of the practice gym and in games. But I think that's where as a coach, he is very intense at times. And I'm not trying to ageism Coach Barnes. I think he's still a great coach. But I've kind of noticed this in a trend with college basketball the last few years. You're seeing a lot of older coaches who was successful in the 80s and the 90s and part of the 2000s now are kind of have to adjust to this new style of basketball, a more up-tempo style, three-point style. And we're seeing that at Auburn, which Bruce Pearl, believe it or not, was ahead of the game 15 years ago when he was in Knoxville. And I'm not trying to say we should bring Bruce back, because Bruce has, he's had issues with the NCAA. And Brad says, old school guy, old school coach, good guy, but I have my doubts. Yeah. And, like I said, Nate Oates at Alabama, and even Will Wade at LSU, we're seeing a newer style, and it seems like some of these older coaches have happened, or is kind of trying to adjust to this new game. I'm seeing your comments pop in right now. And we saw with Roy Williams at, kind of his last tenure at North Carolina, last couple of years in North Carolina, year after year after success, national championship, and then those last couple of years when he's at UNC, he really struggled. You look at Jim Boeheim at Syracuse. He's right now 7-8 on the year, and he's been there for a long time. So it's interesting to kind of see some of these coaches. It's kind of a changing of the guard, and Coach K is retiring at the end of the year, and I'm not saying because of style of play. I think more of his health reasons. But, we're definitely seeing a new college basketball as far as style of play and kind of a youth movement, in my opinion. And it's kind of very similar to what happened with college football a decade prior, when you saw like Philip Fulmer and Bobby Bowden and Mack Brown, even though Mack Brown came back, that was, that kind of that traditional way of college football that brought in a new wave of an Urban Meyer and Lane Kiffin, and then it spread out from the traditional single back set to a spread formation. Brad just clarifies, it's just like in football, keep up the times and look what happens. Absolutely. And sports does that. And you can probably go back even further back, even to like the Dean Smith days and the Bear Bryant days for football related. So it's quite interesting to see. And like I said, with, personally, I was kind of taken back with what Coach Barnes said about Folke. I understood what he was meaning, but I think that's one of the, especially in today's social media age. I mean, we're talking to y'all on social media. Everybody's got cameras, and everybody can now take a snippet of a clip, a little, and make a GIF or whatever, and can take that soundbite of Rick Barnes, and you just got to be careful. It's one of those you need to keep it in the locker room. But I still like Coach Barnes as a person, and most part as a coach. It's just going to be interesting to see how this team progresses down the rest of the season, because we got some tough SEC games coming up. And last night, I'll say a nice win over South Carolina. Of course, the biggest glare to me in that South Carolina game is the free throw shooting. Tennessee came out aggressively last night and got South Carolina into foul trouble, which they're one of the highest foul teams in the nation. And like I said, Tennessee went ahead and exposed it. Let's see if I can try to pull up our free throws was last night here. Brad just asked me, do you think we'll beat Kentucky? It's quite interesting. I've had a couple people ask me that, and we have won the last couple of years at Rupp Arena. Like I said, never say never, but Tennessee's going to have to just step up their game double than what they've had, because I think this Kentucky team, and we're about to preview them in just a moment, this Tennessee has got some challenges moving forward, and even with Kentucky and playing them at home. And like I said, even though with the recent success, we've won at Rupp Arena, it's still a place that has haunted us in the past all the way. Yeah, the free throws were awful. I just finally got the stats pulled up. 11 for 25 from the free throw line, which was 44%, and that's not going to win you games in the SEC. You got to get that above 60, 70% every night, especially I don't know if it has the total fouls for South Carolina. There was a lot. Total joke. I agree, Brad. It was very, very bad. Yeah, South Carolina committed 20 fouls last night, and we got to the free throw line 25 times and only can nail 11. That's very bad, very poor performance. And like I said, I mean, and that was at home. I mean, that's the bad part. I mean, you don't have the crowd, shaking balloons and signs and fat heads at you. I mean, this is your home crowd, and you only shot 44% from the free throw line. That is very bad. I mean, it's crazy to think that we shot over 60% at the Pete Maravich Center Saturday night. But like I said, this team is gonna it's gonna be very interesting to see. I mean, kind of looking at the stats last night. I mean, Folky did a little bit better at 10 points, so maybe he can step up. Vescovy right now is the leading scorer on our team at 13, and last night he went for 14. Zaire Ziegler had 11 points. He has really impressed me so much. I still love Kennedy Chandler, but Ziegler to me is going to be a star at Tennessee if everything works out good. Huntley Half only had 2 minutes last night, man. So it's going to be interesting to see. And I guess the other thing that kind of concerns me with Barnes too is, he talks about the energy of Ziegler and Meshack, and at times Justin Powell, but it doesn't feel like he plays them a whole lot. Actually, Powell had 19 minutes last night, so he played him a little bit. It seems like at times Barnes kind of relies too much on our veterans, and it seems like our veterans are at times holding us back. Vescovy, Folky, Folky to a certain degree. Josiah Jordan James, who's, you never know what you'll get any night with him. And that's a little concerning too. It's almost like, if you have a veteran player that's struggling and a younger player that's struggling, to me, you want to just go with the younger guy because they're going to be around for the next 2 or 3 years, and you want to see them develop and at least go through the growing pains and then get ready. Because if you're a veteran player and still kind of struggling and turning the ball over pretty consistently, that is, I mean, like I said, it's very hard to watch, and I know, I'm sure Rick Barnes doesn't like it, but it seems like it has to take a full team effort to get there. As far as Kentucky goes, on Saturday, go ahead and pull them up really quick. There we go. So Kentucky coming off a win last night against Vanderbilt in Nashville. Right now they're 13-3 on the year, third in the SEC. Like I said, and I'm going to butcher this last name badly, but I think it's Oscar Tibishbu. He's a double-double machine, averaging 17 points a game, 15 rebounds. Xavier Wheeler, he's the leading assist getter and leading steals. So it's going to come down to Oscar. Ty Washington is a talented freshman that's really stepped up big for Coach Cal. Grady's another great player they got. Keon Brooks, believe it or not, is a junior at Kentucky. Normally you don't, and he was supposed to be another one-and-done guy at Kentucky, but he's stuck around for 3 years. We mentioned Wheeler, David Mintz. I mean, this Kentucky team is loaded, and obviously they could make a deep run into March, but they have at times, not showed up. And like I said, Tennessee, they're going to have to really clamp down on these guys, get them into foul trouble early on Saturday afternoon if they want to get a third win in a row at Rupp Arena. And like I said, it's going to have to be a me against the world mentality. And it seems like even our fan base is not really confident in that. But we shall see. I think I really would give Kentucky the edge in this one on Saturday. Like I said, Tennessee's just going to have to play it. Going to have to really play their best. And Brad agrees with me. Hey, say Tennessee isn't ready for Kentucky. They're going to take an L. And unfortunately so. Let me go ahead and pull up and see who we got. Like I said, we get Kentucky on Saturday, and then We go to Nashville next Tuesday night against Vanderbilt. And, like I said, Scottie Pippen Jr. is a really good player for the Commodores. And, man, that's to me now is kind of a toss-up game. We do get LSU again January 22nd at home. I do feel a little bit confident in that LSU game being at home since we just played them just less than a week ago, and it will be almost 2 weeks after we play them. So these home games are going to be very important, and obviously Thompson Bone is going to be rocking and rolling, but we need our team to play the same energy as our crowd does. And I know it's kind of sounds cliche, but you're going to have to really do a good job because that crowd last night for South Carolina was very sleepy and just there was really no energy at all, and the team kind of affected with it. But we shall see. Switching over to the Lady Vols. Some good basketball as of right now, not a lot of negativity. Tennessee Lady Vols, 15-1 on the year, undefeated in SEC play at 4-0. Kelly Harper has got this team playing superb. It is very exciting to see what this team has done so far, led by Jordan Horston, who just picked up her 1,000th career point at Tennessee. Doing a great job on the year. Tamara Key, great presence in the middle, really has stepped up year after year for this team. Alexis Dye, Sarah Puckett, Jordan Walker. I mean, just goes on, and they're playing without Ray Burrell, which was supposed to be kind of our go-to player this year. Of course, she's been the go-to player the last couple of years. But she's only played 4 games so far due to injuries. But the rest of the team has stepped up. Brad says she's the best hire. Absolutely a perfect hire in Kelly. And I agree. And, I remember when Kelly got hired at Tennessee, and I didn't really agree with some of our fans, not all the fans, but we had certain Lady Vol fans, the first couple of years with Coach Harper, they were making the Pat Summitt comparison. And I love Pat Summitt. Matter of fact, we're going to do a celebration of Pat Summitt coming up this summer. We'll talk about it when we get closer to it. But there was that. Well, there was the comparison of when she kind of struggled out of the gate. Well, Pat would never do this, or Pat would not do that. And I was like, you just got to let her coach. I mean, we love Pat Summitt, but we can't compare every coach to Pat Summitt. You're just comparing apples and oranges at this point. But Kelly has really has done a fantastic job. I'm excited to see what she's going to do the rest of the year. And the team is playing with a lot of energy, a lot of confidence, and they've just done an excellent job on the year. Looking at their schedule moving forward, they play Vanderbilt tomorrow night in Nashville, and then Sunday's a huge game at home as 18th ranked Kentucky comes into town. So a big weekend for both Tennessee's men and women's teams playing Kentucky. Of course, the men's on the road, and the Lady Vols playing at home against Kentucky. Brad says he sees Kelly winning national championships here. And you hear, folks. I think so. It's going to be. I'm very excited to see us. And like I said, Coach Harper has a lot of energy, a lot of positivity in her life. I don't know if you've seen the videos of the more recent wins we've had where the coaching staff runs in there and is celebrating with the team. At first it was that's kind of cheesy here. You blew out an SEC opponent about 30 points, but the team has responded to that, and they enjoy it. And now they've kind of done inside jokes, and I think one time the coaching staff ran in that we're going to do the big celebration, and the Lady Vols were hiding, and then they all came out to celebrate. So I'm loving this family atmosphere, which the Lady Vols have always had a family atmosphere, but just this collection of just team camaraderie and a family atmosphere, and they want to win for her, and it's playing very well so far. All right, like I said, I mentioned Vanderbilt's on Thursday night, Kentucky on Sunday at 3 o'clock. That will be on ESPN. So a big game for them. And then when did they play South Carolina? Well, let's see. We'll get February 6th. They play UConn in Hartford. So, and then where is South Carolina? Okay, so South Carolina, we don't play them until February 20th. With South Carolina, the reason I mentioned it in that, they're the number one team in the nation and the preseason All SEC champions. So we play them in Columbia on February 20th. And that's the only time we meet them in the regular season. And obviously, I think we'll meet them in the SEC tournament in Nashville. Brian says, the way I see it, you can never replace a legend in Pat Summitt. However, Kelly Harper hires the closest thing. And yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Kelly Harper has played for Coach Summitt in the past. Or, I mean, back in the 90s during the Shamika and Tamika days, and won a national championship with her, and she was Pat Summitt's point guard, in the mid 90s, and now she's paid her way, and she's dealt a lot in her coaching tenure. I mean, she took over at NC State right after Kay Yao passed away from breast cancer, and for those who may have known the story about how Kay Yao really impacted, kind of like a Pat Summitt in women's basketball. And like I said, she took over a tough situation after they lost their coach to breast cancer, came in there and did a pretty decent job for the most part. Like I said, just a young coach and taking over a giant of a legacy in Raleigh, and then cut her teeth at Missouri State. And then when Holly Warwick was let go, Coach Fulmer, who was still the AD, hired her on, and like I said, it's working out great. I'm happy to see the Lady Vols in the top 5 in the AP poll. A lot of excitement. The fans are really coming back out there, and to be honest with you, there was some games in the last 2-3 years. Well, even kind of going back to even when Pat had to step down. It was weird seeing a Lady Vols game, only, having less than 10,000 fans there. And it was kind of sad, to be honest with you, seeing it. But now we're starting to see the Lady Vol fans come back to the games and really taking Coach Harper as their own. I mean, obviously she's been her own, but now seeing her in the role of a head coach. And I'm excited to see where this Lady Vols team is going to go. Right now, I mean, South Carolina is the number one team in the nation, and that's when we have beat them before. But that's right. But this year's going to be a big exception. I wish we get them at home. Just looking at this schedule, but this ain't going to be the only time we meet the Gamecocks. Trust me on that. So, go Lady Vols, go! I'm happy to see that they're back there. I've got Kelly. Matter of fact, this poster that I'm pointing at. That is Kelly Harper's first team at Tennessee. They had an autograph signing before one of the football games. And, I didn't get to meet Coach Harper. She didn't go down there, but I met all the players like Ray Burrell, Lou Brown was there, and I think Tamara Key was down there too. So we got Lady Vols support. I have the other Lady Vols poster back behind my hat too. Kevin says she has a lot of passion that Pat has. Absolutely. And I even noticed that like when she first came aboard, just her mannerisms and the way she conducts practice, it was kind of similar to Pat. Of course, and like I said, we're not going to. I mean, Pat Summitt is an icon in our sport, in women's basketball. Matter of fact, in all women's sports. And I can't wait to dive more into Pat Summitt's career coming up. So go Lady Vols, go! All right, so let's go ahead and talk about college football really quick. The transfer portal. We haven't really touched on it because I was kind of thinking after the Music City Bowl, maybe not a lot of news would kind of happen right now, but I mean it's going on. Bryce says we got to get you all Tennessee sports on that wall. We support it. Yeah, I do have a softball autograph from Maddie Moss and Haley Beard, and I need to put that on the wall too. Most of my stuff behind the camera is like my Titan stuff and NASCAR and Atlanta Braves. So obviously it doesn't fit our show unless we do a spinoff show. I don't know. But I have to put my little softball autograph picture up there. It's kind of small. It's kind of like the Eric Ainge and Al Wilson went the wrong way. Kind of about the size of that. And like I said, most of this other stuff is Titan stuff. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and talk about the transfer portal. Tennessee has had, since the last time we talked to y'all, Tennessee had some players hit the transfer portal, including one that entered and then decided to come back, and that was Tyler Barron. Tyler Barron, a few days ago, like I said, mentioned, entered the transfer portal, but then he decided to exit out of it and to come back to Tennessee, which is kind of a nice pickup, especially on that defensive line that needed some depth. And after he entered the transfer portal, it looked like originally it's like, oh, now we're going to have to really find some depth. But him coming back helped out. And apparently there was some, now this is all rumor and innuendo. Apparently there were some rumors that Tyler Barron's dad, who is Abernathy, I can't remember his first name, Mr. Abernathy, we'll call him. Apparently him and Rodney Gardner must have got into it at one of the practices because the way, Coach Gardner is very intense in his practices and wants the best out of his players. And I think it kind of took him back a little bit. And, he ended up resigning his position at UT as a player personnel coach. And of course, he's kind of, wherever his son is when he's ended up becoming some sort of coach or has a position on the football team. Of course, Tyler Barron played at Knox Catholic and Mr. Abernathy was at Knox Catholic. So seemed like there was just kind of the classic case of dad disagreeing with the coach of how his son was being treated. Hopefully it's water under the bridge and like I said, even though he's not with the team, Mr. Abernathy, hopefully everything works out good. But glad to see him back. Others that have entered, we had one entered today in Addison Kobe, 3-star wide receiver, entered the transfer portal today. And of course, if you haven't really followed the transfer portal, I mean, especially on 24/7 Sports, who puts every player in the transfer portal, I mean, it is a never-ending list of who's entering in, and it's just crazy. And it grows by the day. But as far as the Big Orange go, we mentioned Kobe. Will Albright, our long snapper, he's still got 4 years eligibility left. He entered the transfer portal. And then D. Beckwith, a player that a lot of the fan base was kind of wondering when he was going to play. He's kind of like a mini Derrick Henry, if you will. And I was kind of a little surprised by that too, especially in some of them short yardage situations where you needed a big running back to pick up that quick first down. I figured he would have been perfect for that, but Coach Harper decided to kind of keep with Small or Evans or whoever our running backs were, Jalen Wright, and didn't really use a big bruising back, and decided to hit the transfer portal. We wish all the players the best wherever they go. Harrison Bailey is still in the transfer portal. It looked like he was going to go to Georgia Tech, but doesn't look like he's obviously not going to head there because he doesn't mention anything about it. I try not to dig too much in their personal lives on their social media pages and dig dirt around. I mean, that's between the players and where they want to go. But it seems like Harrison Bailey, still wants to play somewhere. It's just, he's still in the transfer portal, and we'll find out. Also, Carlin Fenzamin is in there too. He's kind of undecided. Some updated players. We hadn't really talked about these too much, but Brian Maurer, he's going to Stephen F. Austin. I think he made that announcement a few weeks ago. So best of luck to Brian Maurer as he goes to Stephen F. Austin. And T. Hodge, former Maryville Rebel running back and Tennessee running back, obviously, going to Indiana State. So two of the former UT players already from this year's classes already announced their school destination. Morven Joseph also announced that he's going to Florida Atlantic. And then we mentioned Tyon Evans going to Louisville, I believe, on another show. Some of the players that's coming to Tennessee from other schools, we mentioned Gerald Mincy a while back from Florida, offensive tackle, got 4 years remaining. Could be interesting to see if he starts day one right away. Navy Schuler, the son of Heath Schuler, whose autograph is back there. Quarterback from Appalachian State come to Tennessee. I don't think he's going to see the field, honestly. And I'm happy to see Heath's son coming to Tennessee, and he retweeted our picture on Twitter, which you can follow on Society Ball. That's our Twitter page. But I don't know if he might see the field, especially with Hendon Hooker there and Taven Jackson. But just cool to have another second generation ball there, and we'll see how it goes with him. Couple recent additions to the Tennessee team. Wide receiver Isaiah Nair from Wyoming. There's a lot of hype in this young man come Tennessee from Wyoming. He was a all Mountain West freshman wide receiver for the Wyoming Cowboys. Very tall wide receiver, kind of a Cedric Tillman light. Very interesting to see how he's going to do. He's still got 3 years eligibility remaining. He's a 4-star. Very excited to see. Like I said, we had Devontae Payton last year, who was a transfer from Mississippi State. Now he's, of course, he had 1 year left. But now you add Naylor in there with Cedric Tillman coming back, and Jalen Hyatt will be back, and then all these young wide receivers coming into the fold. Now we mentioned in the early signing day episodes, and Tennessee's going to be very deep in wide receiver, and I would love to see Tennessee bring back wide receiver U, no doubt about it. And then Tennessee also picked up tight end and Charlie Broder from UCF. So Charlie Broder playing for his former coach, Josh Heupel. He's a Tennessee kid. Let's see if I can pull up where he's from. Okay, well, it says he went to Arden, or he went to Christ School in Arden, North Carolina. He has some sort of Tennessee connection, or he's from Tennessee somehow. And I figured he was going to pull it up, but I guess not. Anyways, I think he's originally from the Volunteer State. So good to see a state kid to come back home. He's 6'7", 235. He also looks like he's about 10 years old in this picture that they have on 24/7 Sports. But anyways, I'm also 36 also. But, tall kid. Like I said, he'll fit fine with Princeton Fant and Jacob Warren. So excited to see him come back. And like I said, he's very familiar with Josh Heupel's offense for playing down there at UCF. So should be a quick, easy slide in for him. As far as like other players in the transfer portal, of course, kind of the story out of Monday night's national championship game, which was won by the Georgia Bulldogs, 33-18. But kind of the story that come out of that, as far as the transfer portal go, is 7 players from the Alabama Crimson Tide team hit the transfer portal right after the game. Now, honestly, of course, the media kind of spun it like it was a big deal. I actually, whether Alabama won or lost, I feel like a lot of these players, if they were going to transfer, they were going to transfer either way. I just don't think, well, I'm pissed off. I lost the national championship game. I'm going somewhere else. I don't think that's the case. I think if they were going to go, they were going to go. But, but Paul Tyson, Brian Lehner, Jahlil Billingsley, who was a tight end, he was one of the top tight ends in his recruiting class. Like I said, he's in the transfer portal. Tennessee, I've heard some rumblings about Drew Sanders, the linebacker. It seemed like Tennessee's interested in him. 24/7 has him going to Texas. So we shall see. It'd be nice to kind of look at some of these Alabama players, obviously, because they've already went through the conditioning. And like I said, they are SEC ready, so they know the competition well. So, but, it's just kind of wishful thinking, I guess. And then Georgia had some players hit. They hit. There's a couple that hit today. Wasn't as much as Alabama's, but Georgia had two, actually three. Amir Speed, three-star cornerback. Seems like Tennessee's kind of interested in him, and it seems like Jason Swain kind of had some kind of a wink at him coming to Tennessee. So we shall see. I mean, if you're a defensive back named Speed, you gotta be fast. Jalen Kimber and Justin Roberts, one's a DB and one's a wide receiver. So that's from Georgia. So Brad said he's already can't wait till football time in Tennessee. Absolutely so, and kind of reflecting on the national championship game Monday night into early Tuesday morning. Which, by the way, I kind of proposed moving the national championship game to Saturdays. Just my opinion. I mean, I understand Monday nights, that's kind of a tradition way, and I'm sure you can probably get more eyeballs on it. But if college football fans are so used to watching it on Saturdays, just put it on Saturday, especially, the NFL adding that extra week to their schedule. And I know it used to be Wild Card Weekend, but now Wild Card Weekend has moved an extra week ahead, and you had that Monday night football doubleheader on a Saturday. I mean, just throw the national championship game there, but that's just my opinion. I didn't make the schedule, but anyways, getting back to thinking about the reflection of the national championship game. Brad says yes, makes 0 sense. 0 lowest viewers ever to watch. Awful. Wow, that's actually surprising. Yeah, I mean, throw it on Saturday. I know you can't do it on Sunday because you're going to go up right up against the NFL. And they're not going to budge on that. But, yeah, I mean, Saturday would have been perfect. I mean, you had two NFL games with two teams that was already locked in the playoffs. But, anyways, getting back to my point. Thinking about the SEC next year, I think it's going to be very, very deep and very exciting because obviously Alabama is going to be hungry to win another national championship next year. And Bryce Young's going to be back, and they got a couple of transfers in Gibbs from Georgia Tech and somebody else I can't remember. I just shut their window down. Anyways, they got a lot of guys coming back. Of course, they're going to be losing some, but I think Bama's going to really hit the transfer portal hard, including Georgia. Georgia's pretty much losing their entire defense to the NFL. But, I don't see a slide in Georgia's talent next year. I think Kirby's got this team ready to play for the next several years. But I really think it's not going to just be Georgia and Bama meeting every year in Atlanta. And it could, but then again, it could. But I think the rest of the East and the West is starting to close in on the two giants in Georgia and Alabama. You look at the West, I think Texas A&M can be a sleeper team in the SEC next year. Maybe they may end up making the playoffs. Who knows? I think Max Johnson coming over from LSU is going to be a factor. And I think he's better than what they had last year. Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin going to be very interesting. I think they're really gel well in year 3. Mississippi State could be kind of a dark horse in the race a little bit. I mean, you just never know what you get with Mississippi State. LSU going to be interesting the first year with Brian Kelly. They're kind of the X factor. I have no idea what to expect. They may win 4 games. They may win 9 games. I just don't know with them. And then you look at the East. I think we're a sleeper team in the SEC East. Like I said, and I kind of mentioned this last week, you're going to hear a lot of hype about South Carolina because of the first year they had and Spencer Rattler coming over from Oklahoma. And this is good. They're going to be the toughest challenge for Georgia. I don't think so. I mean, I think South Carolina is going to have a good year, but you look at what we did in year 1, and we broke I saw that Tennessee football posted on their Facebook page, we broke 8 school records on offense. And most of them was held by Peyton Manning teams. I mean, it's just amazing what Josh Heupel has done in year 1. And I think with year 2, with Hendon Hooker coming back and Cedric Tillman and the running backs, I mean, this team, to me, should be second best team in the SEC. But you're going to hear a lot of hype about South Carolina. And we do go to Columbia late in the year, and we should know a lot about who South Carolina is, along with how we do, or how, we should know about our team. But it's going to be quite interesting to see how that goes. To me, the three teams I have no faith in next year in the SEC is Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Auburn. I think Auburn, with Brian Harsin, not a great first year for the Tigers, lost in the Birmingham Bowl to Houston. There were some rumors that Brian Harsin may go to get the Washington job, the Oregon job, and didn't really happen. And looking at their schedule this week, they got a really tough schedule. I mean, they got to play Penn State at home, but Penn State's going to be tough. And then they have like a gauntlet of an SEC schedule. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they don't get a let up until right before the Iron Bowl when they play a cupcake team. So it could be very ugly down on the plains at Auburn. Vanderbilt, they just need some talent. Missouri just lost Connor Baslick to the transfer portal, their quarterback, and they don't have Tyler Beatty anymore. So them three teams I don't really have a lot of faith in. But everybody else in the SEC, I think can have a great seasons. Like I said, I definitely see 11 teams from the SEC making a bowl game and maybe improving their win total. So SEC is going to be a Wild West show next year. I'm excited to see it, especially for Tennessee in 2022, and it's going to be very interesting January and February and into March with the transfer portal. You still got players entering in, and then you're going to start seeing teams pounce on some of these players and establish their roster right before spring practice rolls around in late March into early April. Should be a lot of fun in that. That's all I've got. I had one more thought, but it slipped out of my head about transfer portal. But anyways, that's fine. This has been a great show. Like I said, a lot of stuff going on at the University of Tennessee. Chat room has been filled tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, as far as the games going on this week, Lady Vols playing Vanderbilt tomorrow night in Nashville. The men playing Kentucky at Rupp Arena on Saturday at 1 o'clock on ESPN. And then next Sunday, Lady Vols will play Kentucky at home. So like I said, obviously I feel confident about the Lady Vols the rest of the year. The men, it's probably going to be a nail biters, but, hopefully Rick Barnes can tap into some old magic and maybe strike lightning in the bottle. Who knows? Brad says 2022 is going to be great. Absolutely. I can't wait to see. And we still got baseball. Baseball starts in 1 month. I gotta do a preview for them. They open their season up. It's crazy to think, like I said, these months and these sports calendar years kind of fly by. And I saw that the swimming Brad says baseball, baby. I'm excited about seeing what Tony Vitello is going to roll out. I saw a couple of our University of Tennessee swimmers was one SEC Swimmers of the Week. So congratulations to them. Like I said, there's a lot going on at the University of Tennessee and Tennessee sports, and I'm gonna try to rearrange the backdrop. It's mainly football and basketball, and like I said, I'll have to figure out and get some more stuff how I can do that. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Great show. Can we catch you at a baseball game this year? I'm going to try to go up there. Tickets are now going to be red hot compared to previous years. Should be a lot of fun. Like I said, I've really kind of joined late in the bandwagon with college baseball. But it was a lot of fun watching last year, especially, probably when I started paying attention was during that Florida series, and just kind of catch them one random Saturday night and just saw the energy at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. I was like, whoa, because, I've casually dropped in on Tennessee baseball games, and there would be maybe feel like 50 people there. I mean, it just looked like a Little League game, but the energy was great, and we saw it carry on throughout the season and throughout the college and during the NCAA playoffs, and hopefully we can continue with that throughout the next year. Thank you, Brad. It's telling me a great show. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. We'll be back here next Wednesday night to recap Tennessee's weekend with the Kentucky Wildcats, both men and women. Hopefully get some more updates from the transfer portal and Tennessee football team. Like I said, and just keep the show going, and just continue to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/UT Vols Society, for the latest updates and stuff. Hope you enjoyed the Nick Saban joke right at Tuesday, provided through our founder, Brad. Very funny. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching us there. And like I said, this is your home of all things Tennessee sports. And you're a part of the show too. And we thank you for continuing to have our networks grow far and beyond. And we'll talk to y'all next Wednesday night right here on Vols Society Live. Until then, my name is David Morrison. Have a great night. And as always, go Vols.